it's incredibly important that you socialize your dog so that your dog is comfortable with the world around them, with the environment, with the people, with the other dogs, with the other creatures in their space. But a lot of people also assume that socialization means they have to be nose to nose with another dog or being touched by other people. And that is just not the case. In fact, for the most part, I don't recommend that you do that until well into their socialization training, and you only do that very carefully. So today we're going to talk about 5 easy ways that you can socialize your dog without being greeted by other dogs and in a lot of cases by other people. The first is that you are going to actually do your socialization training through a car window or while your dog is in a stroller. We want to prevent people or dogs from coming up to your dog, and we want to give them an awareness of the world around them without being able to directly get involved in it. So I talk a lot about training your dog through your car window. And this is to teach car manners, fear of car rides. We want to make sure that we're teaching them how not to bark at people. All those things can be done in a contained space in your car. So I love to tell people, and I have lots of videos here on the channel about this, get in your car, go to a busy parking lot, and park your car. Get in the back seat with your dog, and you're just going to do hands-on training. You're going to be touching them and explaining what they're seeing and how they're supposed to react and engage with that. We are learning who people are, what they're doing. We're going to see people on cars driving by. We're going to see a lot of traffic. We're going to see all of the things that they need to get used to before we immediately drop them into that situation. Before they are come up to by a bunch of people to be petted, we want them to be aware of humanity. We want them to be aware of how we interact and engage with them. So we're not barking at them. We're not growling at them. We're teaching them from a safe distance in an enclosed space that they can't escape from. And the same goes for dog strollers. Now, this obviously isn't going to work for your big dogs if they are older, but if you have a small dog or if you have a puppy, if you're starting this training as a puppy, I cannot say enough good things about strollers. I have lots of videos on how I got my dog stroller for my senior dog who could no longer do our full walks but still wanted to go out. And how when I got puppies after losing my senior dog, it was such a game changer for us to have that ability to take them to flea markets and to farmers markets and to go out into public and to see people and things and to go to the park, to know what those environments would be like before they were fully vaccinated and allowed to be on the ground and in public. So we were able to train through the screens of the stroller so they understood the environment and were comfortable with it. They were in a safe space that allowed them to observe and engage and smell and hear and do all the things but touch that physical environment. So I really like to start off training through cars, through strollers, through things with some kind of barrier. So even if those friendly but kind of aggressive people come up and try to touch your dog, they're not going to be able to get to your dog because there's a glass window, there's mesh netting, there is something in between them and your dog to protect your dog. So making sure that you're starting your socialization training by observing and being able to smell and hear and see without touching is my favorite way to start socialization training. Once your dog is familiar with that, then you have the ability to do training at a distance. So you can go to a park or you can go to a busy parking lot. You can go somewhere with the things that they're going to be experiencing, the people, the dogs, the whatever, and you're going to stay really far back. That can look like opening up the trunk of your car and sitting in that so that you're at a distance. That can look like taking a picnic blanket and sitting up on the hill while you're observing a baseball game. That can look like all sorts of things that give you distance and space from people and dogs running up to you. You want to remove yourself from the situation, but be there then without the barriers around them. You're going to sit down with your dog and you're going to do a lot of training. Again, hands-on coaching. I'm such a big fan of sitting with your dog and putting your hands on their shoulders, on their head, on their neck, on their chest, and petting and talking and pointing out what they're seeing and how they're supposed to react to it, mirroring the behavior that you are hoping that they reflect back to you. And I really, really like having it at a distance because now we've just removed one of the barriers, but not all of the barriers. There's very unlikely people are going to come running up really far away to see your dog. It's very unlikely that you're going to have dogs running up to see you. And if you do, you have then time to handle the situation however you want before that dog reaches you. So socialization training at a distance is really going to work to your benefit because you have that space without one of the barriers now. Now, the next step for me, if I am going to be training my dogs to be around people, to be around other dogs, is to work with friends and family. And I really like this having them over in your dog's space. So instead of going out and doing things, I invite my friends and family to come to us. I invite them into my home where my dog feels safe and secure. I invite them into my fenced-in yard. I invite them into our space first so that my dogs have the comfort, have the familiarity around them, but they can learn then how to engage with people, how to engage with other dogs. I have family bring their dogs over, friends bring their dogs over, so my dogs can understand how we're supposed to do it in a controlled environment. This way, we're taking those little baby steps. So we've started off by an enclosed space, and then we've moved to without barriers but at a distance. Now we're bringing people into our space, people that we know, people that we trust, people that we can instruct in how to correctly engage with our dogs, to teach them the early lessons that they're going to need. Then we can expand from there. For me, the next step is going to be to go into public spaces that are not dog spaces. So again, we're trying to keep other dogs from running up to our dogs. I still want them to be in public. I still want them to see things, but I don't necessarily want to be hyper aware of other dogs coming up to my dog all the time. So I go to places that are not dog specific. I do not take my dogs to dog parks. I might take them to a human park that allows dogs. Instead of going to places where I know there are going to be a lot of dogs, I will take them into stores that allow dogs to be there, but really most people don't either know about it or simply don't bring their dogs. So there are places like Lowe's and Home Depot and Hobby Lobby, and there's some other places that are just, TJ Maxx I think is just dog friendly, that let you bring your dogs in. You're going to be surrounded by people and sights and sounds and smells, and you'll probably have some people ask you to pet your dog, and you can just kind of rebuff that and move forward, but you're not going to come face to face with a lot of dogs or people with dogs. And if you do, you can very easily kind of skirt around that to some of the other places. So I very much like socialization training in public spaces that are not dog specific spaces. And the last one that I really like is for you to gather up a group of people, so your friends, your family who have dogs, and rent out something like a sniff spot. This is a private remote location where people are allowing you to come on their private property that is usually fenced in and is safe and does not have other animals because it's designed for reactive dogs or dogs who need space. And you have a dedicated area where your dogs can learn how to interact with other dogs. This is a very controlled environment with specific people allowed to come into your space. And it takes you out of your personal space. So earlier, we had people coming into our space. Now we want to do this training outside of their familiar comfort zone. And that means going somewhere new. Now, Sniff Spot's really cool because it's where local people just rent out their yards or the acres on their property or their pools or whatever. They rent out space. Some of them have like agility equipment. Some of them have photo booths that you can take pictures in. There's some really cool stuff and there's some really basic stuff. But you can rent a space by the hour and take your dogs to play off leash, on leash, whatever you want, depending on what you're booking. And you have the ability to then work with your dog and coach them on how to engage properly with other dogs. This will help to build up that confidence and understand the rules and the regulations that you are giving to your dog for engaging with other dogs and with other people and with other environments. So it's a really good time to train, a really good time to build up that socialization without having to worry about those outside entities converging on you and causing problems. Now, from there, of course, you are going to start to get more involved depending on your lifestyle, depending on what you're going to allow your dog to do, where you're going to allow your dog to go, what you're intending to do in terms of travel or fun or dog parks or any of those things where they're going to be in doggy daycares or boarding situations. You can build up to that, but that does involve getting more face-to-face with dogs. That is well down the road of our socialization training. So we start out by keeping them all the way enclosed and away from everybody, and we build our way up to seeing but not touching. We get to the point where we've got people, friends, and family around us doing what we ask them to do to help train our dogs. And then we go from there into public spaces that are not dog-specific spaces, all the way to a very specific space for you and your people to do that heavier hands-on training to educate your dog and help them learn and to help them grow. If you have questions, go ahead and drop it down below. We're talking all about socialization and how to train your dog in small steps so that they are comfortable and they learn quickly and effectively and efficiently how they are to exist in this world and how you are to create that lifestyle with your dog. We will see you in the upcoming episodes every single day. We're dropping a new one to help you navigate the world of dog parenthood. So make sure you drop your questions. Let us know what you want to see more of, and we'll see you in the upcoming episodes.